Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Gamers match preview. West Ham United against Bristol City. The FA Cup is back. It's third round time, the magic of the competition, or is it? That's what we're here to discuss. Gonzo, can you kick us off with any thoughts you may have on Bristol City?
Yeah, look, I think they're a club that we might know a little bit about because, for some time we were linked with their former midfielder, Alex Scott, who obviously went on and signed for Bournemouth. I think they've done remarkably well, actually, has to be said, Geo, because I knew they were 11th in the Championship because obviously coming up to, you keep an eye on things when you're coming up to do a preview against a team and an opposition. But I hadn't really looked about what they'd done with the Alex Scott money. And obviously he scored for Bournemouth. He got injured straight away, didn't feature much for Bournemouth. And he looks to be a talented player. But he was a big star for them. And they got, depending on which newspaper you read, they got between 15 and 20 million pound for him. And I didn't know, so I had a little look. So knowing that they've 11th, I think 11th's not bad in the Championship. There's some big hitters in that league, They've actually only spent like 4 million quid out of all that money. That's all they spent. They got one of the players from your old hometown. They got someone from Aberdeen. They bought someone from Derby as well. I don't claim to know the players at all, but I just thought they've probably not done well. And I do wonder if they've got money to sort of strengthen again in January. Maybe just that money's there, the surplus, the 10 to 12 million pound extra that they should get from that sale of Alex Scott. Maybe that just goes into the running of the club or whatever, or to pay off debts. I honestly, I don't know enough about the club to suggest. But I looked at it, I thought, bearing in mind that's been the case, probably not bad at the moment, 11th.
Yeah, I don't know much about them. I watched them a few times last season. I think I watched them once this season. I think they played Leeds away. They got beat, but they played well in that game. I was kind of a little read of some Bristol City's fans' thoughts going into this one because the form, it's inconsistent, but at a glance doesn't look like the worst form in the world. But their away side of it isn't too pretty. One win in the last 8 games. I was reading some Bristol City fans' thoughts, and they're not too optimistic for this one. And I think they felt that they've played terrible at the weekend and got beat by Millwall, of course. And I think that sort of allowed them to feel not too hopeful going into this one, and it was a bit hoofball, a bit pass it around at the back and belt it forward kind of thing. But maybe I was reading it. It's probably the wrong time to read Bristol City fans' thoughts after after a loss. We know what it's like as West Ham fans. You were to read our thoughts after we've been beat by someone. It's probably not going to be fairly reflective of the side or the form or anything like that. Is on that game that you've just seen. So if any Bristol City fans are in the comments, I'm intrigued to know about your team and about the players to look out for. I know some of their players. I was looking through the squad and that, and it feels like a fairly young team, which is good. Like you said, 11th in the Championship, and of course they've got Liam Manning as manager, who used to be our under-23s manager for 4 years as well. So he's somebody that knows the club reasonably well. I think it was 2019 he left us to go to the City group over in New York, so he's their manager there, and so for that reason I almost wish them well to some extent. I always like to see former people attached to the club go on and do well in their career as well, and becoming our under-23s manager, going over to New York, and now he's Bristol City's manager. I think that's a nice little path he's made for himself, actually. And being treated again, Bristol City fans, get involved. We'd like to know what you think of Liam Manning. You've mentioned some players, Gonzo. Is there any that you've got your eye on? Anyone that stands out?
I did, but that's not to say they don't have some good players there. I did look before doing this video. I went and looked through their whole squad. I saw that they'd lost Callas in the summer, actually, as well. I know there was only one game I recognised in the whole squad, truth be known. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend.
Which one's that?
Oh, the fella that used to play for Aston Villa,
Wyman,
Austrian. Yeah. So I think he was the captain possibly at one point. But again, I looked back at their recent games and I didn't think he'd featured. So no, I did. I'd look a little scratch below the surface and couldn't see an awful lot that I recognised there. But yeah, as I say, I sort of felt from a little bit. I thought, hold on, where's your money gone, sort of thing, Where's your Alex Scott money? I think if I was a Bristol City fan, I'd probably be thinking, hold on, I'd probably be looking a little bit more investment, but I can't claim to know the finances of the club.
And for those Bristol City fans, apologies now, because this next 30 seconds is very Premier League-esque. It's very snobbery towards the Championship. But there are some names that do stand out. Like Gonzo said, you've got Andreas Wyman there. You've got Matty James, who played for Leicester City in the team. Wells, who was at QPR, and he's done well at Bristol City, I think, last season. Scored 11 old goals. Conway, a Scotsman up front, scoring goals. Scored a few this season, scored goals last season as well. And the Derby player Gonzo was alluding to earlier is Jason Knight, who West Ham were linked with quite a lot, actually, prior to sort of the way that Derby capitulated and dropped down a league and whatever. And when he was younger, I still think he's in his early 20s, maybe he's a bit older than now, but whenever I watched Derby, I quite liked him, and it's good to see him in the Championship. I always thought he maybe had something about him that would step up to the Premier League. He was one that always stood out in that side for me, that were featuring a lot on TV because of what was going on at that club. And obviously with Rooney going in there as well, it was sort of like the media's love child for a little bit. So you got a lot of Derby, just like you're getting a lot of Wrexham at the minute because of the media loving. You're getting a lot of that force upon you, whether you want it or not. Right, anyway, I said enough about Bristol. There wasn't really much there about Bristol City, but that little bit done with. But Bristol City fans, get involved in the comments, and we may have a video tomorrow with a Bristol City fan where we'll get a bit more information from them. In regards to the actual draw, though, Gonzo, are you happy with it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. You want to try and progress as much as you can in the league. I've got no desire to draw Manchester City or Arsenal or anyone else, even though obviously, we've done okay against some of the so-called bigger clubs this season. But no, if you can, if I'm honest, you would like a home draw against a team in a lower division. I would have actually liked a team lower down than Bristol City, truth be known. Absolutely. Give me the dog and duck. Absolutely. And the thing is, it's not like, we're a Premier League club now, but it's not like I've lived my whole life as being in the top division. We won the FA Cup, of course, as a second tier team. And we've had a lot of bloody noses over the years, so I never go into these games mega confident. And you always have I have a bit of fear. I fear Bristol City. I really do, that on the day they can turn up and knock it around. So it's not just exclusive to them on the forums, worrying about them rocking up and playing West Ham. We have a certain amount of concern ourselves because upsets happen, don't they? So it's. But I'm happy with the draw. I have to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a little bit of the Blackburn Rovers fear about them. They put us out last season in the cup and on penalties, but in Carabao Cup. But regardless, they still beat us, and it was still. I think Blackburn possibly doing better than Bristol City are at this point, but I would consider both to be mid-table Championship teams, if you like. So they've definitely got that about them. And I'm a bit like you. I'd prefer one a little bit less than Bristol City, but all being well, home to a mid-table Championship side, not the greatest away form in the league as well. And it's always difficult because you're trying to sort of second guess as to what they're going to do. Are Bristol City going to take this serious? Are they going to field their first 11, or have they got bigger fish to fry? They're looking at it going, Premier League club, scrap that. But in fairness, and credit to the support from their club, they've got 9,000 fans coming to this game, so that away end is going to be big. It's going to be loud, and it's going to feel like, in some ways, a home game for them in that regards. I think it's fair to say that they'll be the ones making the noise for this game, the Bristol City fans and stuff. So they'll have the backing, and a big backing too, behind that goal down at the Sir Trevor end. So that could be a little bit of a disadvantage for us. But like I said, when the draw was happy, I thought that'll do. I must confess, though, when it came out, I thought, let me go see where Bristol City are, just to show my sort of snobbery, if you like. I had to go and have a look and see where they are in the league and whatever. And I was like, I'll take it. FA Cup, though, for the third season in a row, I'm going to ask you this, and I like asking it. I don't like the question, but the fact I have to pose the question is a good thing because it means we've got European football.
Yeah.
But obviously, historically, for context, for those that are new to Hampshire, I say new, you've joined in the last 2 or 3 years. Previously, this game, myself and Gonzo sit here going, most important game of the season, and hopefully we're in the fourth round. That becomes the most important game. The FA Cup's what we want. But now we've got European football, and last season we were in a relegation battle. This season we're now, I think it's fair to say, in a fight for a European spot in the league. We're 20 games in now. We're up there. So I think it's fair to suggest that. So with that in mind, how important are you placing on this game?
Yeah, very, very important for me, Geo, this one. I really want to win the FA Cup. I would be very important to me. I would place this. Well, look, you win the FA Cup, you qualify for Europe anyway. So that sort of takes that thing out of it. But I think if what you're doing is asking me a direct question, would it be Europa League or FA Cup, I would choose the FA Cup this season because we obviously were blessed to have won the trophy last season. So, sounds crazy saying it. We won a European trophy last season. It'd just be amazing for West Ham to win back-to-back trophies. So I'd love us to take it seriously. I really, really would. And, we've got a favourable draw here. Despite we played atrociously against Liverpool, I didn't feel that we really went for that with any great measure. I understand what the reasons might have been, but it is also an unfavourable draw away at Anfield. Their record at Anfield is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Liverpool, they more or less don't lose at Anfield, so yeah. Look, if we can avoid a draw like that, why not? Why not have a go? When we have everyone back and we have our best team and Kudus is there and everyone else, I do feel we can beat almost anyone, with the exception of people like Liverpool away or something like that. I think we can beat almost anyone at home on our day. So why not? Why not go for this competition?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's only 3 teams I'd put in the category that we probably won't be able to beat, and that's Man City, Liverpool, and Aston Villa. I think the rest of them, we've beaten Arsenal twice, we've beaten Spurs, we've beaten Man United, we've beaten Chelsea, we've beaten Brighton. So it's like the rest of them, well, there's evidence there. There's no evidence that we can beat Newcastle in regards to previous results with them. But that doesn't feel like a steady ship at the minute.
No.
We got Newcastle at home, and that would be key. If we got them at the London Stadium, I wouldn't fear them as much as I would have done last season, or as much as I would at St James's Park. So that 3 teams in Man City, Liverpool, and Aston Villa are the only 3 that, should we win against Bristol City, those are the 3 I'd like to avoid in the next round. The rest of them, bring it on. And the fixture scheduling helps me get up for this game, truth be told. The fact that we've got a week in between games from either side of the Bristol City one. But hang on, there's no excuses here. The big excuse he gave for the game against Liverpool was fixture scheduling.
Yes.
Congestion and fatigue of players. Well, actually, I think that excuse is null and void here. He might point to a depleted squad because Kudus and Jarrod are away. We've just got rid of Thilo Kehrer as well. But still, there's enough players left behind, enough senior players left behind to have a really good starting 11 for this one. He can still make a few changes and have a really good starting 11 if he wishes. And he needs to redeem himself. Moyes needs to redeem himself because we've been good. And I'll be honest with you, there's still a part of me that isn't over how we approached that game at Anfield. There's still a bit of me that's got a little bit of anger about it, actually. Now, since then, obviously, we've gone to beat Man United and we've gone to beat Arsenal, which has been fantastic. But that's arguably made me angrier about how we went against Liverpool, because I thought, look, we can do it. We can beat these sides if you actually formulate the correct game plan and the tactics and you play your strongest 11. You can go and beat these teams. And I just felt like we waved the white flag against Liverpool, and the game was over at 7 p.m. when the lineups come out. So Moyes needs to redeem himself. Does winning this game do that? No. But a strong starting 11 says, I'm taking this competition seriously, which is something he didn't do against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. So I think it's important for Moyes to field a strong team and to get the win here, just to reassure West Ham fans, I want to win a trophy just as much as you do, because the evidence we've got so far in regards to domestic cups would suggest he's not that bothered. And that's what's disappointing me a lot about that game. It's not losing.
Yeah,
it's the not having a goal part of it that let me down. Anyway, Gonzo, this video is sponsored by BetMGM. Would you like to do the promotion, or do you want me to do it?
Well, I don't mind. It's an easy promotion to do, quite frankly, Geo, because it's a chance to win £2 million. And who doesn't want to win £2 million?
Bristol City, they don't spend it.
They probably won't. They wouldn't get a penny of it, would they? But if you would like, you can keep it to yourself. You don't have to give it to the club, Bristol City fans. Here's what you've got to do. You've got to sign up to the BetMGM app. Now, I do warn you now, it is a betting app, but what we're about to promote is a free game within a betting app. So you've got to be 18 years or over to play this stuff. Golden goals, it's a bit like Super 6. If you know that game, what it's going to ask you to do is predict the results and the score lines of 6 games. If you get all of them right, you win £2 million. Pretty good, huh? But that's a tough thing to do. Let's be fair. Very, very tough to predict the results of 6 games. But if you've got 3, what would happen then? Well, you're still going to get paid some money. In fact, there's a £5,000 prize pool for the person or persons that predict the most amount of correct scores. If one person does it, you get £5,000. If 2, you split the purse, £2,500.
That happened last week, by the way. Last week, only one person got 3 correct scores, and he got all 5, or he or she got all £5,000 to themselves. £5,000 just for 3 correct scores.
Not bad, is it? Now, this is what you've got to do. You've got to use the link in the description below. Don't go searching for it via Google. Use the link in the description below because we get a big old pat on the back for you clicking on it, quite frankly. If you do like a flutter and you do like a bet, then they do have an interesting thing as well, which is if you sign up and deposit £10, you get £40 worth of free bets, which is a really good offer as I understand things. But to play the Golden Goals game, you don't have to deposit anything. When you sign up for the app, at the point where it says deposit, just go and click at the top to Golden Goals, play the game.
Happy days. Get involved. Links in the description and do it by the 8th. By the way, our contract with BetMGM ends on the 8th of January. So if you do it before then, we get a pat on the head. We make a couple of quid. It's not going to lie. That's how we get paid. If you do it post that, we don't get anything. So do it before the 8th. Hey, honestly.
It's true. It's very true.
Transparent, right?
It's very true.
Anyway, the team you would like to see, Gonzo. We had the exact same 11 for what we wanted to see against Brighton. I think we might have a couple of differences here.
I think so.
However, there is a little bit slim pickings, though, isn't it?
It is. So in many respects, there's almost going to be some variations in the team because there's a few things we don't know. I think Antonio's back. I'm not sure if I've been told it or I've read it, though, because my memory's all gone.
I forgot to do my team news bit. Oops.
That's all right. Hey, we can do it now. Go on. What you got?
I'm going to have to make it up. Right. Team news is, despite David Moyes about 6 weeks ago saying Michail Antonio was out for 2 weeks, as Gonzo said, we're unsure yet. Antonio has done a tweet suggested that he's back very soon and his Beast Mode 2 is getting ready to come back to West Ham. Jarrod and Kudus are obviously off to African Nations. Kerr's going to Monaco, so they're all out. They're unable to be selected. And injury-wise, Soufal should be fine. Zuma will hopefully be fine for this game as well, should we wish to use that. But apart from that, we're okay. So no Kerr, no Jarrod, no Kudus. Paqueta should be fine as well. So we've got Paqueta and Zuma back for this one, and a big question mark over Antonio. You can choose them if you want, Gonzo, but I'll give you a spoiler. I don't have Antonio on my team for this one.
Yeah, look, I think it does make a difference. So what I was going to do, I'll just tell you now, I wasn't sure about our Brazilian maestro, whether or not he'd be fit or not. If he wasn't, then we needed to do something else creatively in the middle of the park. I was quite sure about that, and I would possibly looking at even drafting in George Earthy or something like that just to get that creativity going. I think it's going to be a tendency from David Moyes to try and do what he did before, which is maybe pick Fornals and Ben Rama. Don't want to see it. So let me try and run through my team.
Well, let's start with the keeper then. Fabianski?
Yeah, well, let's put Fabianski in goal.
Fantastic Fabianski in goal. Back four?
Soufal, Mavropanos, Zuma, and Ben Johnson at left back.
I would go Ben Johnson at right back for probably the same reasons as you, which is he's had a couple of good games back to back. Nothing fantastic, not man of the match. Also, I do think he's one of the few players come out with credit against Liverpool.
For sure.
But I thought he was all right against Brighton as well. So while he's playing all right, let's keep him in the team and try and build his confidence up bit by bit and try and have a player that we can use for the rest of the season. And then Mavropanos next to him. I've gone on Bona next to Mavropanos. They're keeping clean sheets. If this was a midweek game so soon after Brighton, I'd say, well, maybe let's get the 35-year-old centre-back out of the team, but it's not. So I'd keep Bona in there and then Emerson at left back because I think irreplaceable. We miss him when he doesn't play. So
I didn't say he wasn't going to play.
Oh, okay. Right, midfield. What would you like to see in there?
James Ward-Prowse alongside Edson Alvarez. And if we're going to include the number 10 as the midfielder, yes, Lucas Paqueta would be the guy. If not, then I would put George Earthy in there. I absolutely would. You know, let's make one thing straight. I do really want to get through, but if you can't throw at least one youngster in against a championship team, then we have youngsters that are kicking the arses of these teams in League One and League Two, thrashing them. All right, and when we play in the EFL Trophy, they're beating their counterparts in Europe, in Premier League 2, in the Premier League International, whatever it's bloody called, Premier League 2, they're doing so well. We have youngsters who would thrive in the Championship. I'm very sure of that. So you can't chuck one of them in for this game. There's something wrong. So Paqueta's not there. the creativity. Let's get our best creative player from the youth team. I believe that to be George Earthy. Let's put him in the team there. So that would be that. That's the composition of my midfield.
Similar. I've also gone with Alvarez and Ward-Prowse, and for similar reasons to you, but I've gone with Lewis Orford in midfield next to Alvarez. I'll leave in Ward-Prowse to go forward and do his pressing game and try and take the game to them a little bit. I think Orford's someone that can make it at West Ham. While the youngsters have done really well, there's a few I've got doubts about whether they can step up to the senior squad at West Ham, which is a huge thing to ask. And even when you listen to the coaches of the under-21s, when we won everything at the under-18s as well, they were saying if 2 or 3 of these can make it, we've done really well. Even they were sort of maintaining expectations. Yeah. But Orford was on the bench against Brighton, and during that game, I felt Souček was a bit pointless being in the team, quite frankly. He wasn't required. But you looked at the bench and there wasn't anyone to bring on. The only midfielder on there was Orford. And I thought he's never going to do it because he's not seen Orford yet in the senior team. So he's not going to get on. Yeah. So we're going to have to find opportunities to play these young players. So actually, the next time there's a Premier League game and centre midfield's looking a little bit timid, or you need to change up in midfield, you turn around and look at your bench. Actually, now that player's got 70 minutes under his belt and he performed fine against a pretty solid championship outfit. Yeah. That's good. That's good experience. So I would like to see Orford in there next to a very experienced Edson Alves, behind a very experienced James Ward-Prowse, and behind him would be Ogbonna and Mavropanos. This is the perfect environment to try out a youngster.
Absolutely. 100%.
At home as well. They'll have the support. He could go out there and make a few stray passes. The fans will clap him, the fans will cheer him on and stuff because they get it. It's a young lad making his bow in front of thousands of people. He will have the support. I think this is, if you can't play a youngster in this game, shut the academy.
I totally agree, and we've both done the same thing. You've chosen a number 8, and I've chosen a number 10. So yeah, I totally agree. So I think it's important that we do it. At least one youngster in there is really important. They've got a big game on Tuesday. Let's get that right. The senior team have a break, but these are young men and they are fit enough to play Sunday and then play Tuesday as well.
To be fair, imagine playing 70 minutes against Bristol City on Sunday, then going into Tuesday. You will feel 10 foot tall. You will walk out onto that pitch thinking, I'm the best player on this pitch. I am the best player here tonight because I've just played for West Ham in the FA Cup. The confidence would be through the roof. Anyway, your front three.
So my front three would be Bowen on the right. It would either be Antonio up front, or if he's not there, this is a bit indecisive, but I just don't know. If Antonio was fit, I think we need to get him out and get him ready now, because we're probably going to need him for the remainder of the African Cup of Nations, so to speak. If not, I would probably play Mubama on there, and then with the substitution being Callum Marshall. On left wing, as you've no doubt guessed by now, I'm going to play Emerson on left wing. I think he's more creative. I think you just got. Then we have creativity. That was our problem. Give him a go.
A bit of pace and someone that can run with the ball as well. We were lacking that against Brighton. Someone that can travel with it, and that's something Emerson's good at. I've also gone Bowen on the right, Cornet on the left. I know it's unlikely, but again, if you can't play with this one, then I don't buy this thing that he's too injured or whatever Moyes suggested, that we're managing him carefully, because Cornet himself about a month ago said, I'm ready for minutes. Whenever you need me, I'm ready. And then Mubama up front, I think I'm not being impressed by him so far, but I'm not bothered by the fact that I'm not impressed. I've got a lot of patience for Mubama.
He needs to play in a creative team.
Yeah, I want to see him getting more and more minutes, so that almost like he can't fail, if that makes sense, that he gets so much chances and so much opportunities, because when he has been coming on, it's not been the right circumstances. The only game that suited him was Burnley away, because we're 1-0 down, so we're throwing the kitchen sink at Burnley. So he had players all around him, and he impacted the game. He didn't score, but he impacted it. Coming on against Brighton when we're parking the bus and whatnot, it's difficult for him. But I've not been impressed by his control or lack of control, for example. However, that's all I can judge him on, really. Can you kill a ball from 30 yards launched at you from a centre back? That's the only thing I'm really witnessing. So I want to see a bit more. So Mubama, Bowen and Cornet, I think that's... I agree with you about Antonio, though. getting minutes. I'd like to see him on the bench. It'd be a boost actually if you got the lineup on Sunday and Antonio's there, because unlike Kearney, Orford, Earthy, I think Moyes will be itching to get him back on.
Mm.
Antonio, I think Antonio's 80%. He will get some form of minutes for this game. Are you confident, Gonzo?
Yeah, I am confident. I'm confident as long as David Moyes wants it. David Moyes wants it. I think we win the game. I really do. And David Moyes recognises that we're going to need some creativity to break them down. If what you said about going on the Bristol City forums is correct, they're going to sit back and they're going to hoof balls forward. Then they're going to sit back. We're going to need to break them down. If that's what they do, they'll also find that probably not a particularly productive thing to do against West Ham, particularly if we've got our usual lumpy, massive centre backs there with Alvarez in front of them. It's not going to be overly productive way of attacking us. I do, but I do think the creativity is important. But one thing can make the difference. Paqueta coming back can make the difference. Even if he had Antonio Paqueta on the bench and he started with Mubama and Earthy or something like that, just to know that he could change it. Right, go on, boys, go on there and you do something. We definitely need to offer up some pace, though. That was back to the bad old days. I felt in recent times we've become a slightly quicker team. Just spent years, spent years moaning. It became a cliche. I've moaned about the pace in the team, 4 or 5 years ago, and it never seemed to get addressed. And I felt that's getting addressed, but we looked slow again against Brighton, and I think the pace is a really important part of any side, but particularly when you're a counter-attacking one. That being said, how much counter-attacking we'll do in this game, I don't know. But yes, I'm confident.
I'm a bit wavy in the sense that it's the fear of the unknown in regards to Bristol City. I don't know enough about them, how they're going to play, who's going to play, how serious Manning's going to take this. Is he going to go full 11, treat it like a cup final, or is he going to rest a few players and focus on it? I don't know. It's usually you can guess with evidence. So we can guess what Moyes is going to do because we know what Moyes is like, but I don't know what Manning's like. So I've got no evidence to even make an assumption. So there's that element of it as well, but also the fact that we've had some clean sheets recently, which has been good, but we have played teams that will come on to us, like Brighton and Arsenal. Man, we've been able to sit back a bit and say, you have the ball, and then we'll try and hit you. I'm not sure we'll be afforded that, despite the fact how little I know about Bristol. Given that we're the Premier League side, I'd imagine emphasis will be on us to attack them and us to move the ball quickly. I almost go back to the Europa League group stage games when we struggled against the likes of Olympiacos, even back to pull that home. We won 3-1 in the end, but we had to go a goal down first, and it was almost like Kudus got us out of it with that one. Yeah. And sometimes these games will come down to a little bit of individuality, and we don't really have that. The player responsible recently has been Kudus. He's gone. Paqueta is 100% fit. We don't know. So that worries me. I'm a bit cautious about this game. Although saying that, I do feel confident because should Moyes get his tactics right and the players turn up, we win this game. To keep it simple, we have better players than them. I think we'll win, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be an entertainer. Can I get any final thoughts from yourself, Gonzo, as well as your all-important score prediction, please?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the game's come at a good time. I think we've got, 2 weeks break afterwards, at least the senior team have as well. Certainly if you don't want to talk about alluding to the under-21s away at Wickham, they're in the knockout stages. The EFL Trophy is a really, really big deal. We've got the transfer window. I think it eats up a couple of weeks of the African Cup of Nations. That's a really good time to have that break, isn't it? So in many respects, you're almost hopefully missing Kudus for only sort of 2 or 3 weeks rather than the 5. That being said, the most annoying thing is Ghana's first game isn't actually until the 14th. So a large chunk of this time that we're missing him, he's not even playing anyway.
But means he's having a rest, though. I know it sounds silly, but he's resting up. So I'm trying to look at the positives here.
No. This is true. But we are having a massive problem, though. Not a massive problem, but we're in a bit of an unfortunate problem if we're relying on Kudus so much that one player makes that much of a difference to us, so we can't win a game whilst he's away. So we need to find a way, and we need to find a route through it. And I don't think we are that. We need to just get a supply line going to Jarrod Bowen and get him scoring. he should pose a massive threat. You would anticipate, and I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you who Bristol City have played in a cup in previous years, recent years, or whatever. I would certainly hope that Lucas Paqueta, in Edson Alvarez, in Jarrod Bowen, to name but three, that Bristol City are about to face the best players they've ever seen in their lives. That should really be the case. You're dealing with 50 to 100 million pound footballers here, unless I'm mistaken. And they played Manchester City last year.
They played Man City not long ago. I'm trying to think which year it was, but they played Man City not long ago.
In which case, scrap that. But you get the point. I'm trying to make. We should be levels above in this. So yeah, I think we should win. Hard to predict because we don't know what Moyes is going to do. We know what we think. As long as he picks a strong team, I suspect. I'm going to hedge my bets here. I'm going to go 2-0.
I'm going 2-0 as well, actually. I think when it comes to cups, I'll always say the only thing that matters is your name's in the hat for the next round. Cups are results-based and results-based only. Nobody remembers who played the best football but got knocked out in the quarterfinals. No one remembers that. It's who won the trophy. That's all that matters. However, for this one, I think there's a bit of pressure on the team to actually entertain because the previous games or the last few games so far, it has been a bit boring at times. In some of the games that we've won, it's not been the most entertaining, but you can possibly stomach it. And I think you can stomach it against Man United and Arsenal. Well, actually, they're bloody good teams there. We've done really well. But if we were to sort of like bore our way to a 1-0 win against Bristol City, while ultimately the only thing that matters has occurred, which is we're in the fourth round, I do think there'd be a bit of what point are we going to see some more entertainment? And this has got to be the game where maybe we're a little bit more expansive. That part I'm not too confident on, but I agree with you. By the way, for when they played Man City, it was a few years ago, so I'd imagine half the team at least didn't play against Man City. So I do think this will be the best players they've faced, and possibly the biggest crowd they've ever played in front of. There's some big stadiums down in the Championship, to be fair, but 9,000 Bristol City fans, it'd be a tremendous occasion for them going into this one. That scares me a bit, but I think we'll win 2-0, and I think it'll be quite a comfortable 2-0 win for us as well. Entertainment factor pretty low, efficiency factor pretty high. 2-0 West Ham into the next round. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this preview, probably not if you're a Bristol City fan, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up, subscribing to Hammer's Chat. We'll see you in the comments, but also if you fancy getting involved in Golden Goals, it's free to download, free to sign up, and free to play. Links in description. You must use that link. And then next weekend is when the Golden Goals is back on, the likes of Manchester City and all that. You predict their scores. Get all 6 scores right, you win a share 2 million. Get 3 right, you're probably winning a share of 5 grand. Myself and Gonzo, catch you in a bit.